This is the launchpad for a pocket-style manual. The order for Concordia is going to include the handbook and an access card. So students will have access to this with the purchase of their book, and they would actually register their access code right from this screen. So I'm just going to log in as an instructor and show you the process for setting up your course and how you would get student access and how you would assign activities in here. So this is what will be your dashboard once you log in. And if you don't have access to this, let me know and I will certainly grant you access. But you'll get it login information with your email and password. And when you log in, I've used this a few times, so you won't see courses set up previously. You will actually go through the process of creating a course from scratch. So you'll just click Create Course. It'll pop up a window that'll ask you to verify that this is the right book. Yes, this is the correct book. Click Next, and then it'll ask if you want to create a copy of an existing course. And this is really great if you're teaching the course every semester. And if you want to set up your course for the fall and then use those assignments again for the spring, you won't have to recreate the wheel. So we'll just say no for now. We'll click Next. And you'll just give the course title, your course number and section number. You'll select your school, your term, and then just be mindful that it is auto set to Eastern time zone, so you'll want to edit that. Just going to create a course, and once you do that, it'll pop up here with your course title. When you click on the title of the course, it's going to bring you into the meat and potatoes of the Launchpad itself. And everything's organized by the table of contents of the book itself. The ebook is not in here to clarify, but it is organized so the exercises will apply to the different sections of the handbook itself. Before we get into what's loaded in here, I just want to address this bright yellow banner. It says your course is not visible to students until it is activated. So this is a process of how you would get students access to your class. As I mentioned, they're going to get an access card from the bookstore with their handbook. So they have the code, and instructions on that access card are going to have them get the URL from their instructor. So they're going to know to expect a URL from you. And how you would do that is you would just click Activate this course. First window pops up your course information. You can edit anything that you need to change right from here. If it is correct, you can click Activate, and this generates a template email. And the idea is you can copy and paste this email, send it to your students, and what's included is your course URL, so now that they can click on that URL and plug in that code that they have. And this is your class, this is no one else's, and it's identified by those little numbers at the end. The email also includes information on how they can get 21 days of temporary access if they haven't gotten their book yet. And then it also gives them information on tech support. If they do run into any technical issues, they shouldn't be coming to the instructor. They should be coming right to tech support. When you click Done, this should make that little or bright yellow banner go away. And now essentially your course is set up and ready for students to log in. Now, whether or not you assign anything in here, students are going to have access to all of these exercises and the learning curve, and the MLA and APA papers will also have sample student ratings too. So again, they'll have access to this regardless of whether or not you assign it. But if you do want to include homework assignments, you can do so as well. So I'll just go through that process quickly and then explain the differences between exercises and learning curve. So if you pick on the exercise that you want to assign, I'll just show you what it looks like in the main screen here. So that's going to load, and it's a traditional set of questions. Sometimes there is text that they have to submit. You click Options, Assign. It's going to pop up this window. Now, if you haven't created any assignments yet, there is just the Select Assignments option with a Create New. So this system works on sort of a folder system. So the idea is if you're teaching on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis and your assignments align with that due date for each course and or for each week rather, you just click Create New, and you're going to name your assignment. So for example, if you assign everything for week 1, just give it that name, save it, and now when you click that drop down, week 1 is loaded. Okay, so any assignments that you're clicking here, you're populating into week 1. When students click on the week 1 in the assignments tab, they'll see the assignments you've selected. So you would just pick the due date, the point value, let's change this maybe to 10 points, and assign. Now, essentially, when we're at the top here, this is the assignments tab. Students click on it, they're going to see week 1, and they're going to see the exercises that we just assigned. So you can essentially pull everything into the assignments tab, and then as students complete those exercises, it's going to be loaded into the gradebook. Um, Now, you might have noticed that the exercises are sort of a traditional set of questions that students are answering and working through. Learning curve is a bit different. So learning curve, rather than a static set of questions, it's actually an adaptive assessment tool. So for example, it's not a static set of 20 questions that students are answering. Instead, they're working towards an activity score. This one is set to 750, and if we, let's say every question is worth 10 points, that means students have to get 75 questions answered correctly before they're done the activity. Now that's probably not the right correlation, but that's the simplest math I can do in my head. Um, so so instead of, like I said, instead of students working through a set of questions, the system's going to adapt based on their responses. So the topics are identified down here, and you can think of these bars as banks of questions with easy, medium, and difficult level questions. And students are basically working through each concept, each topic, and each level, and based on their understanding is going to determine how long they spend on each section. And the idea is that they're getting more practice on the areas that they have the most trouble with. So when they answer something wrong, the system's going to generate more questions that are tied to that topic at that level until they master it and move on. In addition, at the end of the activity, the student's going to get a report, and it's going to show them what areas they did the best in and what areas they did the weakest in. And when you click on the areas they did the weakest in, it's actually going to point to the section of a pocket style manual for them to review. And then it's also going to point to additional exercises or different resources in the Launchpad that they can do on their own for additional practice. Instructors will have access to the individual reports, and then they'll also have access to this class topic breakdown. This will give a nice macro view of the entire class. It'll show what areas the class as a whole had the most trouble with and what areas they did the best in. So faculty will use this to actually tailor their assignments or their lectures in class to going over those topics that they had the most trouble with a little heavier. Okay. So that in a nutshell is the differences between the exercises and the learning curve that are in here. Both are assignable within the Launchpad. Both can be set up in a way that fits how you make assignments in your classroom. And as I mentioned, it's coming with the handbook already. So test it out, make use of it, and see what your students think. If you have any questions for me, feel free to contact me directly. You should already have my email address. But feel free to also give me a call. My direct line is 866-843-3715. My extension is 1720. Thanks.